From today, everyone in England has access to 2 rapid coronavirus tests a week, which can provide results in around 30 minutes.
The lateral flow kits will be available at testing sites, pharmacies and through the post. Here's our health correspondent, Dominic Hughes.
Minutes past 7. So, Charlie, the RSPB annual garden birdwatch results are in. Don't move auto cue, because I don't want Charlie to see. Which bird do you think was the most observed in our gardens?
The most observed, I'll go the... Oh, are we leaving out the obvious, which is pigeons? What about a robin?
No, and I think pigeons...
It's a pretty little bird. That's what it is. Do you know, I was talking to someone...
No ornithologists in this room.
I was talking to someone the other day who took part in the Big Bird Watch, you know, the event.
Yes.
And it was a time, wasn't it? You had a specific time.
Yes, yes.
Whose garden is always full of birds. And it was like the bird world had been told
that it was going on.
It was going on. And they sat there waiting for the bird population to be there, as they always are. Not a single bird. Literally. It's almost like on the hour. It's like the clock ticked to the time, nothing.
And then 1 minute passed.
You move away and, oh, go make a cup of tea.
It was
birds. They're all back
It was
down.
like a Hitchcock film.
The word had got out.
Sarah, did you know what bird...
Watch, you know, the event.
Yes.
And it was a time, wasn't it? You had a specific time.
Yes, yes.
Whose garden is always full of birds. And it was like the bird world had been told
that it was going on.
It was going on. And they sat there waiting for the bird population to be there, as they always are. Not a single bird. Literally. It's almost like on the hour. It's like the clock ticked to the time, nothing.
And then 1 minute passed.
You move away and, oh, go make a cup of tea.
It was
birds. They're all back
It was
down.
like a Hitchcock film.
The word had got out.
Sarah, did you know what bird that was?
Oh, well, I'm going to say it's a sparrow as well, because some of them are the little brown ones and some of them have got the little black masks on, haven't they? So I think...
You know that was infinitely more than I know, so I'm buying into whatever you've just said.
Well, I think we've all been spending a bit more...
So we'll see you later on.
Thanks, Sarah. Now, 16 minutes past 7 is the time. Enough is enough. That was the message sent out by football club Swansea City yesterday as it announced a week-long social media boycott to combat online abuse. Now, 16 minutes past 7 is the time. Enough is enough. That was the message sent out by football club Swansea City yesterday as it announced a week-long social media boycott to combat online abuse.
Home Secretary.
We're going to be talking to the Transport Secretary, Grant Shapps, in a few minutes. First, find out what's happening wherever you are this morning. Good morning. You're watching Breakfast with Charlie State and Naga Munchetty.
Time is 7:33. So plans to allow people in England to go on foreign holidays have been unveiled with the requirement to pay for coronavirus tests.
The government's outlined a so-called traffic light system, which will be used to categorise countries based on risk.
Let's see, time now is 7:45 on a Friday morning. So, Mike, on the subject of travelling, you can whisk us away.
Yes.
To happen, that's the truth, isn't it, Sarah? Accidents happen, even in weather terms.
Thanks very much. 9 minutes to 8 is the time. Greta Thunberg has travelled the world as an environmental campaigner, but she won't be attending the UN climate conference scheduled to be held in Glasgow this November.
She wants the UK to postpone the summit until global vaccination rates allow all nations to attend on the same terms, and she's been talking to our chief environment correspondent, Justin Rolat.
Greta Thunberg, A Year to Change the World, begins on BBC One on Monday at 9 p.m. and on BBC iPlayer.
Time now is 7:55. So let's take you back in time a little bit. Let's go back to 1965. 19-year-old Welshman Brian Robson was 10 months into a 2-year working visa in Australia, but overwhelmed by homesickness, wanted to get home.
And what follows next? It's quite a remarkable story.
Let's have a chat with Brian now. More like we've seen a bit of the geography. Can you please describe to me what it was like inside the crate? What did you have with you and how much movement did you have?
Do you have the world record in being on your head for the longest period of time? And how on earth did you cope?
Well, actually,
Gentleman who helped you. I mean, what clues do you have about these two these two Irish guys who helped you?
well, we
It is a fascinating story, Brian. Did you have a spy hole? Were you able to see? You were able to look out and see what was going on outside?
well, actually, Charlie, in
The end. I mean, who unpacked you and what happened?
very quickly.
That rings a bell. somewhere
Paul or
online.
John, Irish fellas, went to the same school in Ireland and then worked out there. Brian's book is going to be released later this month. Hey, the headlines are coming up back soon. Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast. You're with Charlie State and Naga Munchetty.
Our headlines today.
Good morning. It's Friday, the 9th of April. Our top story is that plans to reopen international travel for holidaymakers from England have been unveiled, with a requirement to pay for coronavirus tests.
In the past half hour, the Transport Secretary, Grant Shapps, has told Breakfast that the government will look at trying to cut the cost of the PCR tests, typically around £120, to make them more affordable for families. Well, those plans have been met with some frustration by the travel industry. And Ben is at Gatwick Airport.
There's been another night of rioting in Belfast, with petrol bombs, fireworks and stones thrown at the police.
Officers used water cannon for the first time in 6 years in an attempt to restore order.
Our Ireland. The Welsh Government is speeding up the easing of its COVID restrictions as infection...
So what you want to know, of course, is in amongst all this talk of restrictions lifting and things you can do and little changes along the way, Sarah, is how the weather is going to help us.
Well, good morning to you.
Thanks, Sarah. 13 minutes past 8 is the time. BMI, body mass index. It's long been used to determine if someone is a healthy weight. Now there are calls for the government to scrap the terminology.
MPs on the Women and Equalities Committee say it doesn't help people with eating disorders and causes anxiety about body imageries. Breakfast, John Maguire has been finding out. So let's give you the response from the Department of Health and Social Care. They told us we are committed to improving outcomes for those with eating disorders and related mental health issues, with record funding to expand dedicated services in the community. So that was the statement we got from the government in connection with the story.
Let's pick this up with our regular GP. This message will hit home to many people, but specifically when it comes to BMI, how useful has it been for you when people have said, am I OK? Am I in OK shape?
Seemed to be useful, Ellie. I mean, I can remember a time when BMI, there was a time when that phrase didn't really exist, and then it came into being. Why was it deemed to be useful if now we're thinking, well, hold on a minute, where is the advantage? The news that today people in England will have access to 2 lateral flow tests a week. That's starting today.
Now, the kits are less expensive than laboratory tests, and the results take around 30 minutes. Here's how the test is carried out. OK, so that's how to do it. What about getting them? Ben Boulos is at a pharmacy in... Thanks so much. That's Ben Boulos there for us. We've stayed with our GP, Dr. E. So, more tests for the public, 2 available a week. A positive move?
The potential, the possibility of that very rare blood clot connection. Now, I don't know what sort of impact that's had on you. Questions are being asked, and how that's worked out in practice.
Time now to find out what's happening in terms of news, travel and weather wherever you are today.